Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, as you probably expect at this point in time. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom, while the Nintendo Switch remake should be on its way. So, last time, we have basically managed able to continue traversing for the forms of the Booster Tower, in addition about the fact that we also managed able to show you guys the optional boss fight, fighting against with Booster himself, despite the fact that we only going to be temporarily showing off the forms of that optional fight, but regardless of everything else though, and at the same time, we somehow managed able to actually go ahead and chase after Booster while he was hostaging Princess Toadstool or Princess Peach to be more specific nowadays. In addition to that though, about the fact that we also managed able to beat the likes of the forms of not only Crate Guy, but also with the forms of Knife Guy as well. So, yeah, you probably get the idea of how that's going to turn out to be. So, and finally, most notably, is about the fact that we did somehow manage able to explore for a little bit for the likes of the forms of the next town, which appears to be Marrymore, which, as I said before in the last video, this is a place where the fact that most any other townspeople decided able to get married in that particular point. So, yeah, today for this video is about the fact that we're able to actually rescue Princess Toadstool in Marrymore, so hopefully we're able to get the opportunity that we can able to actually deal with Booster for the, presumably the final time or something like that. Mind you, about the fact that I haven't exactly gone back into this game since 2 days ago, so relatively speaking, that might be saying something, I suppose. So, oh geez, it looks like those bridesmaids got kicked out by that particular snippet, so that could be only been one thing in mind, but that's just because, well, something tells me that the Booster is actually in here already with Princess Toadstool, so, but regardless of everything else though, we can able to go to the secret entrance, as you can clearly see on screen. So, in here though, we can able to explore for a little bit for the kitchen part, and as you can tell, they're about to be working on that particular cake at the moment, so I wonder if what happens if you do manage to able to dare stand onto the actual cake itself, although something tells me I'll be in trouble for that point. So, yeah, let's go ahead and try to do that. Oh, yep, looks like they think that, well, we're gonna ruin the cake for Booster and stuff like that. So, yeah, we immediately jump off. So, anyway, so let's go up the staircase, and we meet up with the forms of that familiar snippet from earlier, and as a result, about the fact that, well, every once in a while, it's about the fact that sometimes you have to able to time yourselves carefully until you're able to actually proceed to the next room, because otherwise though, well, you see why in just a moment. So either way, a few things I want to explain for this point today, and that is about the fact that, well, today's date, of course, is the 26th of July today, in this case in 2023 today. I suppose I should probably explain about this right from the start though, and that is about the fact that, unfortunately though, I've got some bad news to tell you, and that is what appears to be about the fact that, unfortunately, the continuation of the Let's Play of Sonic Frontiers might get delayed, and during at some point until next Tuesday, in some cases the beginning portion of August. Now the reason being for this is because sadly Sonic did somehow manage able to suffer a bit of a headache. So because of that though, I don't suppose he's probably not going to go into the forms of Sonic Frontiers anytime soon, until specifically until by the beginning of August. So yeah, unfortunately though, I want to classify that right from the start though. But what I can do is that we can probably able to expect this right about now, that this particular week might actually host up the forms of not only 1, but 4 parts of Super Mario RPG, which I think is actually quite intriguing. So because of this though, even though despite the fact that, relatively speaking though, about the fact that, well, we still need able to actually go back onto the forms of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe at some point. So, and I think exponentially speaking though is about the fact that that could possibly make it happen during the buddy forms of the beginning portion of August as well. So relatively speaking though, we can probably get back into the forms of those 2 games back to back during the forms of in the beginning portion of next month, which appears to be August. So anyway though, so yeah, as you can see, we need to able to line up together, and as a result, that way you can able to, you know, try to deal with the door and stuff like that. and as a result, you have to do it twice. One which you saw familiar with that particular snippet, and something tells me we need to do this again, except this time with Bowser. So because of this time, yeah, it's all about the timing as well. So either way, let's go ahead and save our game right here, because something tells me about the fact that not only we can able to actually come across into one of those, another minigame challenge or something like that, but something tells me about the fact that we can deal with the next boss fight. So either way though, that might be saying something. So here we are into the actual, let's just say like a church kind of vibe to it though, which something tells me about the fact that we somehow reignite with Princess Toadstool right here once again. So we can pretty much expect the fact that how this is going to turn out to be. So, and as far as I'm aware, for this particular segment right there, that sometimes you not only get out able to collect every single item throughout the majority of this part, but also about the fact that you have to be, depending on how quick you do in this particular part, basically you get yourselves about 4 different results. And because of that though, I'll explain more details about this once we're able to get that particular section started. So because of this though, something's worth noting for as well, and that it appears to be about the fact that during the films of today, for those of you who lived in the UK, have the 10th anniversary of the release of the physical release of New Super Luigi U as a standalone game. So as a result, I can't even believe it's been 10 years ago since the physical version of New Super Luigi U came out. So yeah, it's actually quite interesting while looking back for New Super Luigi U as the physical version. Mind you, I still already got myself the physical version of New Super Luigi U anyway, not just because of the faults of that pretty cool box art, I'm not gonna lie, but it's also worth noting for about the fact that imagine if my Wii U got corrupted, obviously I'll lose my digital version of New Super Luigi U DLC. So as a result, it's a good thinking for my part, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, every once in a while with the brand new sealed copies of New Super Luigi U's skyrocketing price recently these days now, so relatively speaking, everything else will be pretty much expected. So anyway, so as you can see, we actually grab all of those Princess Toadstool's items, and as I said before, depending how quick you do on this particular part, you get about 4 different results. And because of this though, I think I actually did the quickest run, so as a result, it'll give me the best results. Specifically, I think I might as well get the actual reward by simply get kissed by Princess Toadstool. However, if you get too slow on this result, basically you get yourselves 3 possible worse results. Like for instance, as you can see on screen, there's the best result. And then if you do the worst result, you ended up getting either Bowser or Booster, or in a worst case scenario, Bowser and Booster at the same time. So relatively speaking, if you decide able to actually think to yourself that, yeah, you need to, well, gotta go fast basically, because otherwise, again, if you're too slow on this part, obviously you get the worst results. So, although I suppose it doesn't really matter for the sake of the actual results being, although, despite the fact that it's been about, 3 days ago since or 2 days ago, I meant to say, since I've last played this, so. And something tells me about the fact that the cake is now fully prepared and be ready at the same time. So, yeah, I wonder if this might be somewhat suspicious for that particular situation that's going on. Although, relatively speaking, we can't leave, because otherwise we have to deal with the next fight, so. And relatively speaking now about the fact that I believe for the next boss fight coming up, it does something that's very unique, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, well, I'll get to the actual status as soon as we're able to. Oh, okay, so we just somehow got hit on the very first turn, thanks to that particular chefs, as far as this is concerned. So here we go folks, here's the forms of the next boss fight, against with the forms of Abundant. At the moment right now, it functions infinitely, so as a result it does have 900 HP at the moment. So as a result, the main emphasis on this battle is that I highly recommend you go after the forms of the cake itself, because otherwise, if you dare attack these sheriffs, I don't think that those guys can be able to get defeated. So because of this though, yeah, aim for the cake, and that's all you have to do, because otherwise, the more you're able to do this, something will happen until coming up, because I think something tells me with that particular creepy face of that particular cake might have something to deal with it. So yeah, it's get out able to keep on doing physical attacks on the forms of the cake itself, and as soon as it starts moving, something will happen. So because of this though, yeah, it's nothing right of a challenge though, although apart from the fact that until later on, once the actual cake starts moving, this is where it gets a bit tricky, especially noticeable. You have to deal with the forms of, I would say, something to do with like birthday related, that you have to deal with those candles at the top, which that'll come in later. So either way, and there it goes again by that particular cake movement. And it looks like those sheriffs will keep on messing about to each other. Any second now for that particular, you know, cake comes alive. Oh jeez, no, it starts moving. So yeah, it looks like about the fact that we don't have to worry about these sheriffs from now on, because otherwise we get into the boss proper. So, as I said before about the fact that, although for the sake of time, he only has like 900 HP, but it does functions infinitely. But there's a catch to this though, as you can see on top, on the actual cake itself, we have to blow out every single candles, specifically 5 candles specifically. So because of this though, the only best method about this is that you only have to do physical attacks, because I believe if you dare utilize the special attack, I think it doesn't do anything with that particular phase. So something to keep that in mind. And it looks like that both Mario and Mello are actually in a fear state. So I suppose we'll try to able to figure this out for ourselves. So anywho though, something's worth noting for as well, and that appears to be about the fact that yes, it's been 10 years ago since we've actually got ourselves our current laptop that we actually got. Appears to be by the forms of Acer, and unfortunately Mario is down, so I wonder if it's possible I could probably able to utilize the pick-me-up item for Mello, although I suppose I should probably save it for later, because either way though, I should probably could have to do that later, so. And of course he does have a blizzard attack, so it can be pretty unpredictable to block it, so. Alright, so he's almost down. And if you think this battle was over, but as it turns out about the fact that there's going to be a next phase coming up, so. Oh, jeez. At least, thankfully, Mello did actually get a miss, so that should be all good. Alright, one more hit shall do it. And there goes the forms of Abundant. And now we go on to the third, and presumably the final phase of the fight, which appears to be Raspberry. Now, I believe Raspberry does have 600 HP, and as a result, if you do manage to kill the Raspberry as the part of the cake itself, I believe you get about 50 experience points if I recall. However, it does not drop coins, because something tells me about the fact that, well, you see why as soon as we're able to actually, as soon as we finish him off, so. And by the way, that sandstorm, it's pretty dangerous as far as this is concerned, and it looks like both Mario and Mello are once again on a fear state, so. But when you get the hang of it though, it's actually not too shabby for the most part, so. Although, usually, despite the fact that if you go into the forms of some fear state or something like that, sometimes though you'll get disabled your special attacks, so. But yeah, for the most part, this battle's not too shabby for the most part, as I said before. But sometimes, though, that the amount of attacks that Raspberry or Abundant will brings us into can be pretty devastating at points, so. Oh, and also recently today, about the fact that I did manage to went to see Secret Invasion, the finale episode recently. I'm probably not going to get into any spoilers for that particular finale season as a result, especially concerning about that particular point where I'll give my final thoughts of it at some point until probably tomorrow or Friday, depending on the forms of certain stimulations. So, but yeah, as you can see, that 3 snippets are come back, and as a result, Booster was there, so meaning about the fact that this battle's over, so. Yeah, I guess that's about it basically, so. So it looks like Booster is about to able to eat up the cake. But yeah, there's not much else I can say, because either way though, I apologize for that particular awkward silence for a moment ago, but that's just because about the fact that I just really want to see what really happens to the actual cake itself, so... I just love the fact that, well, Mario is still shaking while this is happening, so... And even Mello was also shaking as well. Well, there goes the cake. And Booster is crying because he thinks that the cake is so good. So, either way though, because recently I did manage able to eat some of those Swiss rolls in my own time for a bit, and my god, it's so good. Although despite it does have a lot of sugary stuff, but I don't care about it too much. So, either way, there goes the forms of Booster, as well as the rest of the Sniffets. So, yeah, the battle's over. So, although despite the actual, Mario did die on that fight, and also I somehow wasted my, pick-me-up items, but I suppose we should probably keep on buying those, pick-me-up items at some point and during the later battles. So, either way, it looks like that Princess Toadstool has now joined in our roster. So, even then, that should be all pretty swell. So, meaning about the fact that we somehow managed to got the 5th and final playable character, right? Well, here's the catch, because obviously about the fact that I don't think we could probably get into a later battle with her anytime soon, because obviously about the fact that we do definitely need to able to leave the town, and also about the fact that, let me go ahead and quickly save my game. So either way, I suppose after this though, well, assuming of course if we're able to actually focus on something else entirely, obviously about the fact that we'll definitely guaranteed able to get ourselves the next star piece throughout. So, and exponentially, I believe we're now on to the halfway point of the game. At least if I'm assuming so anyway, despite I keep saying this a lot, but that's just because about the fact that I was expecting if I was trying to able to show you guys everything throughout for this particular portion of the playthrough. So, but either way though, and it looks like about the fact that everything else is all settled in the actual Marrymore church itself, and it looks like those two couples right here are now in love. So yeah, that's actually pretty sweet. And even especially noticeable about the fact that they're playing the actual melody at the moment when you talk to the actual the pianoist or something like that. But if you dare manage able to jump onto the actual piano, it'll mess around with the keys. So yeah, they're saying like, hey, what are you all doing? Which I thought was quite amusing. So, and of course, if you can also talk to the forms of those specific toads right here. So yeah, that's not much else I can say about it. Well, I can assure you that will be the case on the Switch version, then it'll make things a lot more intriguing and also very fascinating as well. So, anyway, there's also another thing I should probably explain about this as well, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, well, better late than never, I suppose. Especially noticeable ever since in, I won't say during the forms have been Monday, which I suppose I forgot to comment on. And that's what appears to be about the fact that it's been 15 years since when Wario Land Shake It first came out on the Nintendo Wii, which I can't even believe by saying this because obviously about the fact that we still haven't got any ideas of when is the next Wario Land game should be releasing by that point. Well, apart from the fact that we've already got technically Wario Land 3 on the Switch, but that because of the faults of the online subscription services. So, and also something tells me they're going to be participating in the actual photo booth. So, I suppose we don't mind joining in, and like it or not. But either way though, yeah, let's just go ahead and take our... Oh, okay. And the photo's been taken. So, yeah, that's what I can really think about it. So yeah, I think we're basically done for Marrymore for the time being. So yeah, let's just go ahead and talk to Princess Toadstool right here. I would say no, because I just feel like that I just want to able to continue things on, or perhaps even maybe that, well, if you managed able to select no for the majority of this particular conversation, I believe most of our characters do seem to be able to pop up, like not only for Mello, but also for Gino, and not to mention Bowser as well. So if you do this, obviously that they're all gathered around surrounding Mario, and they're gonna have a massive argument. So yeah, that's actually quite diverting. Although, to be fair though, about the fact that I'm not exactly sure what happens if you do select okay or yes at all times, but I thought it was quite hilarious whenever you do manage to able to let all of your party members get argued about. So, and then once you leave Marrymore, you're able to actually instantly go back into Mushroom Kingdom, so you don't have to worry about the forms of the amount of travels here and there, especially noticeable with the actual map selection and stuff like that. So, yeah, it seems like it's kind of like, even though it's a bit tricky to explain, but something tells me about the fact it's been a very long while since we've last visited to Mushroom Kingdom, believe it or not. Especially noticeable because concerning about that particular point where, well, it seems very standard stuff for the most part about the fact that we actually did quite a lot of stuff throughout the entire journey so far, but seems about the fact that it might actually act out pretty strange for the likes of the forms of how Bowser decides to able to join in the party once we go back into the Mushroom Kingdom itself. So, yeah, that seems very, competent. So yeah, I can't believe, as I said before, it's been 15 years ago since when, you know, Wario Land Shake It did first came out on the Wii. And as a result about the fact that while looking back on Wario Land Shake It, or in the European version, the Shake Dimension, basically, I still think it's actually a really cool game in my opinion. Although, it's a shame about the fact that in this year that we don't feel like trying to do it just yet. Because especially noticeable about the fact that we are still currently playing for this. And especially noticeable with the forms of the continuation on Sonic Frontiers. And especially noticeable until later on, with not only with Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, but also with the forms of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, if we get around to it. So either way though. And also not to mention though, about the fact that despite there's a lot of like busy work during the forms of Wario Land The Shake Dimension, which not only focuses on the returning treasures ever since in not only in Wario Land 2, but also with Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3, and also with the forms of Virtual Boy Wario Land, and even especially noticeable with the forms of Wario Land 3 as well. So I suppose about the fact, no matter what though, that it might take a very long time to able to dive right into Wario Land The Shake Dimension. So either way though, I'm not exactly sure when that's going to be up though, but I'm sure we're able to investigate something out of it, so. But I digress. And also I do really love the fact that with this particular animated cutscenes in Wario Land The Shake Dimension, there's almost like an anime vibe to it, like, you know, with the Japanese anime style. So, but either way though, that must have been said something, I guess. So, anyway though, and what I thought was a little bit cool is that I suppose I forgot to mention about this also, is that the next season, after 10 years, since in 2013, that Futurama is back. And as a result, that Futurama, that the series, I haven't exactly watched on it too much, but I barely watch it from time to time. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, about the fact that it looks like that Futurama, Season 11, or Series 11, as far as I'm aware, has finally made its existence. Well, specifically on Disney Plus for right now, on the UK version as far as I'm aware. So, but either way though, yeah, it's been a very long time, hasn't it? Especially noticeable, it's been about a decade ago since the last series, or the previous series, which is specifically Series 10 or 8? I've seemed to lost count, especially noticeable because I keep thinking about the forms of the DVD compilation physical runs, because that's just because about the fact that I'm still potentially speaking about the fact that I'm always start to be able to be collecting certain DVDs throughout, and even occasional Blu-rays from time to time, based off of my favorite franchises I do prefer, and all that stuff though, but that maybe seems the case, so. But, yeah, and no matter what though, about the fact that it looks like about the fact that there's some massive changes going on when it comes to Twitter, which I suppose we should probably explain more details on that later, because something tells me about the fact that I just really love this particular scene where basically Toadstool, or Princess Toadstool, did somehow manage to gather the 4 heroes to able to actually have a chat about the forms of what we can do as our main goal of, you know, just trying to able to get, you know, everything under control. So, but either way, that must have been said something. And also, I really love the fact that when Mario just pulls off an angry face at Bowser, which I found was pretty funny, especially noticeable because usually back in the day when it comes to like most of those Mario RPG games, the humor is spectacular. Although every nowadays that it seems to be washed out for the actual personality and all that stuff. Oh, apparently Princess Toadstool is now safe at the castle, so yeah, it feels like about the fact that, well, we're only going to be stuck around with only 4 playable characters, so, oh well. Not that much of a big of a deal, must be quite frank, but either way, if you meet into the forms of Toadstool's room, obviously you'll meet up with Princess Toadstool again, about the fact no matter what though, she might able to actually take a rest after the events of that particular damsel in distress kind of syndrome, especially noticeable after being hostage by the forms of Booster himself. But either way though, I suppose we should probably continue things on now, and what the heck? How come Princess Toadstool was actually instantly out there? I've got no words. Especially noticeable because, relatively speaking, she was so desperately wanting to join in after that particular, well, a conversation in the actual castle itself with the actual, Mushroom Chancellor. So I suppose we're most able to actually let her join in our team, we guess? Even for reals this time? Because, relatively speaking now about the fact that despite she didn't join in the battle at first, so now we can able to actually get ourselves our Princess Toadstool and joins into the actual party for reals. So, and there we go folks, we've got every single playable characters in Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, making a grand total of 5 playable characters. Although despite the fact that you still need able to take 3 characters at a time, so what could possibly be something to do with... Wait a second. Oh my god, it's like Grandma in disguise. Ah, that's the perfect example of the reason for it. Okay, I see what that is. Okay, that's actually a pretty cool twist right there. Although there's also another thing I just want to classify for something that's usually for the sake of the forms of this particular room, as I was exploring to right now, there's actually secrets going on, but we'll be back for that until later, because obviously about the fact that we need to take care of a lot of stuff as far as this is concerned. So, but either way though, let's just go ahead and leave the Mushroom Kingdom for now on. So, relatively speaking though, everything else will be pretty much soon to follow, so... Anywho though, yeah, and usually, relatively speaking, another thing I should probably mention about this as well, about the fact that, as I mentioned this before, that Twitter did somehow got a massive change this time around, because usually, relatively speaking, rest in peace Twitter Bird, or even especially noticeable with the Twitter name itself, because every now and then, we actually getting ourselves the X. Not exactly sure why that stands for, but at the very least though, about the fact that we at least get something a bit different, so... Anyway, before we continue things on the other hand, well, there's actually that switch that we've already activated from about a few moments ago in the booster tower. As you can see, the new area has now been accessed, so but either way, although before we get into more details onto this though, there's actually that one in particular enemy that we somehow forgot about, and especially noticeable about the fact that I felt incredibly bad for it, especially noticeable because sometimes encountering enemies in the game sometimes feels a bit random, so as a result of that kind of stuff though, we're able to actually try to find one of those enemies that we haven't fight yet, so throughout the majority of the forms of Booster Pass itself. So hopefully we'll try and able to find that particular enemy once we're able to, you know, stumble across into something. So, but either way, and also another thing's worth noting for about the fact that, well, I think relatively speaking though, I think that's as far as I can talk about. Well, apart from the fact that for one thing, as far as what Sonic has already mentioned about, ever since in yesterday's Sonic Frontiers playthrough, that basically that we did somehow manage to play Dokapon Kingdom Connect on our own time with Stuart from yesterday, and I did not like it. I honestly have no words to think about it, but I'll get to more now in a second, because here we have ourselves that enemy I was talking about. Something related to a carrot vegetable. That's what appears to be body forms of carrot butters. So, At least if I was assuming so, what his name is. Basically, he does have 90 HP, and if you kill him, you get about 10 experience points, if I recall. And then also, it drops about 4 coins if you kill him. So, yeah, that was that enemy I was talking about that I somehow missed from earlier portion of Booster Pass, as far as this is concerned. But anyway, as far as my first impressions, whenever I did manage to try out Dokapon Kingdom Connect on my own time, I got confused, especially noticeable because it feels kind of like, you know, a hybrid of an RPG game and a party game at the same time. Well, relatively speaking, you know, about the fact that despite for some odd reason that I pretty much get into it for some reason, despite the fact that I just have no clue of what the heck I was doing. Especially noticeable, again, it's entirely new to me, but honestly, I honestly do prefer the forms of playing Mario Party stuff over the likes of, whatever that thing is. But either way, yeah, before we get into more details on other stuff worth noting for, we need to head back onto the forms of Tadpole Pond, because even then, we need to talk to, this guy right here, because something tells me about the fact that we can now able to actually access to the next area, which appears to be Star Hill. And I think that's essentially what the next destination we're about to head off to next. But before we get to that though, we need to do some bit of side quests to do. Specifically, about the fact no matter what though, I think we are basically done in here for now. Although I'm not exactly sure if we're able to come back here again, presumably. So, but either way though, let's just go ahead and backtrack to Rose Town quickly. Even though I'm not exactly sure why I was expected able to go in here in the first place. But either way though, because relatively speaking, there was that particular another house building right there. If we talk to this particular gardener right there, that basically we do need able to get one of those 2 items or something like that, which is something relates to the seed or anything else to be more specific, but that'll be for later. So anywho though, yeah, because as a result, I'm not exactly sure of how do I explain this, but either way, I'm not gonna be getting myself Dokapon Kingdom Connect for my own time, especially because it's so weird to me. Like, it's literally one of the most weirdest games I've ever seen. Even especially noticeable, I haven't exactly looked upon that much playthroughs of the game either, but that's just because about the fact that I'm more into Mario Party stuff over the likes of the forms of whatever that's supposed to be. So, anywho though, yeah, because as a result about the fact that, yeah, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. What was your thoughts about the forms of how the fact that with the Twitter actually changes the logo? Because usually, relatively speaking, it's kind of weird for at first glance, especially concerning about that particular point where that usually with the forms of Twitter does have a bird symbol. So as a result, you know, I said this before, that we've now got an X symbol. So not exactly sure what that stands for, but even then though, I'm sure we're able to actually point things out through time. So, oh, and another thing too about the fact that another one of those person dies recently, and that's what appears to be Buddy forms of. Even though it did already happen during the forms of roughly about a month ago, that's what appears to be Buddy forms of Alan Arkin. Basically though, he did die ever since in June 29th, 2023. So yeah, it seems kind of sucks, and especially noticeable about the fact that it's also very sad as well. So oh, and the last thing I want to mention though, before we get into the forms of another topic worth noting for, that's what appears to be about the fact that there's actually a show called, literally just called Mickey Mouse, as part of the forms of the actual modern show, as far as this is concerned. That show has been out for about 10 years ago, since in 2013, despite I'm a little bit mixed on the actual art style, especially concerning about that particular point where, well, apart from the fact that for one thing in mind, that's obviously about the fact that this Friday we're able to actually expect to get Disney Illusion Island is about to be approaching into its release, so but I'm not exactly sure what the reviews is going to turn out to be for the likes of the forms of Disney Illusion Island, but I'm sure we're able to point things out through time. And what I thought was a little bit weird too is that, potentially speaking though, that was actually going to be a Switch exclusive from now on. So, anywho though, let's get into the forms of the actual one of those another races that we can able to participate in Yoshida Island, or Island, for that matter. Basically, though, is about the fact it's kind of like the same race as before, except now you're able to race against with other 3 Yoshis, even though, mind you, this one is a bit difficult to win. Well, luckily it's entirely optional, so as a result though, I don't think there's any special requirements for doing it, although apart from the fact I somehow wasted my cookies in the process, so yeah, it's kind of unfortunate I somehow lost the race, but who cares about that, honestly, because even then though, it's just for one of those optional stuff, because as far as I'm aware, nothing mandatory to be happening though, but it's just about the fact that it's a bit difficult to win the actual group race, because usually it's kind of tricky at first when it comes to likely trying to race against with Bushi and stuff like that, but either way, that must have been said something, so... Oh, and another thing too about the fact that it's been about 5 years ago since when Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation that came out, and I did not like it. I honestly did not like it, especially noticeable about the fact that this is, well, admittedly though, this is where I started able to lose interest with the films of the Hotel Transylvania series after the events of Transformania ever since in 2022, despite countless amount of delays, and on top of that, it's going to be on streaming video exclusive, which reminds me, why couldn't that particular film get its DVD release? Well, apart from the fact that for one thing, as I said before, this is why I started to lose interest with the series. Although, don't get me wrong, it is okay for the most part, but it's just about the fact that I'm not exactly a huge fanatic when it comes to the films of Hotel Transylvania stuff. Especially noticeable because usually I'm preferring to the films of other, like, films like, well, there's just so many films I can possibly think about on the top of my head when it comes to likely do prefer other stuff worth noting for, so, but that's just me. But aside from all that stuff though, that I somehow come back into Mario Kart Tour again, and as a result, the new tour just somehow showed up today, which is of course Sunshine Tour, and as a result about the fact that we can finally get a chance to able to experience Lakeside Park, and for what I've tried that out on Mario Kart Tour version of that track, it plays remarkably similar to the GBA version, except it's actually a lot easier than the ones on the original version back on the, you know, Mario Kart Super Circuit, just because of the forms of the amount of sharp curves you have to deal with, and on top of that, the volcanic starts to interrupt in lap 2, and exponentially, I think it does the same thing in lap 3 in the original version, but since in Tour version that the volcanic decides to able to go ahead and interrupt, journey forms within lap 2, and as a result, that's one thing I will have to give the actual massive criticism for the likes of Mario Kart Tour's jealousy department, because as far as I'm aware, I'm pretty much used to it the forms of, you know, still playing through Mario Kart Tour, no, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, as you probably expect at this point, because as a result, that one thing I would really wish about the fact that I was expecting they'll able to patch out the, you know what I'm saying with GBA, Sunset Wilds, with all that Sun decides to able to change? Well, that's why my jealousy decides to come in. That why does Mario Kart Tour gets like visual identity like this? Like, I know I usually keep on feeling a bit nitpicking for the most part, especially concerning about that particular point where, you know, in Mario Kart Tour does have a gem pack full of content, which I totally get it, but it's just about the fact that I'm just a little bit jealous with the forms of the actual visual presentation and stuff like that, when it comes to, like, you know what I'm saying, so... But yeah, as far as I'm aware, I think that's as far as I can talk about, so, but either way though, I will get into more details on other stuff and during at some point until tomorrow, because like I said before, sadly that Sonic Frontiers continuation playthrough is going to be delayed at some point until on next Tuesday, which I promise you guys, that'll make it happen, especially noticeable that we'll have to wait until when Sonic is fully be better after the events of that particular headache that he's been having, so as a result about the fact that maybe he's been running too fast all of a sudden, or maybe just something else entirely, so... But I will admit though, I apologize for my commentary is a bit iffy at points. That's just because about the fact I was trying to explain things clearly, but sometimes though, I always get a bit sidetracked with all that particular other stuff worth noting for. So, but either way, let's go ahead and save our game. So either way though, we're still on level 10, but hopefully we're able to actually get ourselves level 11 at some form or another. So with that being said, I think we should probably end things up this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars. And that's what appears to be about the fact that we're about able to explore the next new location, which appears to be Buddy Farms off Star Hill. So hopefully we'll be able to find a star piece from here. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.